Hi, my name is Shanna, and I'm going to show you how to make a pom-pom using only your fingers, some scissors, and some yarn. First, we're going to start out with yarn. What you need to start off by doing is cutting off a length. Now, you're going to want this to be a decent length because we're going to hold on to it. Snip it off. Like, I'm using really bulky yarn, so I made mine probably about a foot long. Now place it between our middle fingers. Now if you're making a smaller pom-pom, like a really tiny one, you're going to want to use between these two fingers. But we're using bulky yarn. Now when in doubt when making your pom-pom, you need to make it bigger than you think you're going to need it. Because you can always trim down, get smaller and smaller and smaller. But we're going to start out and we're going to make it with 4 fingers. Get your yarn going. Start off and just wrap. And just keep wrapping and wrapping and wrapping and wrapping and wrapping and wrapping. And I'm using really cheap, nasty yarn because it's just really easy to use right now. Alright, so we've got a good amount on our fingers. We're going to snip that off. Take our 2 ends that we tied around our fingers. And we're going to start, and this is going to take some fancy finger work, making a knot in the middle. So it's going to wrap from where it's going to wrap from where you started it between your fingers, and we're going to tie it up here. And first we're just going to start out doing a simple basic, loop-de-loop knot just to keep it in place. Slip all of that off your fingers and tie it tightly. Go ahead and do a box knot. Nice and tight. So we end up with what looks like a little hair bow. Isn't that cute? So now we're going to take our little hair bow, hold it by the 2 long ends you created, get our scissors, and cut up the sides. And we're just splitting those yarns that were wrapped around our fingers. I should have picked really better scissors, but, live and learn. Alright, so now we've ended up with what looks like this really wild thing. What you're going to start doing, and this is going to make a huge mess. So if you can, go outside and do this. If you can't, employ your vacuum. We're going to start off by giving it a haircut. And like I said, you're going to want to start this out bigger than you thought you needed it, because we can always cut down. We can't glue yarn on. You would have to start all over. Now, I really probably could have picked better yarn for this, but I didn't, and oh well. So anyway, we cut and we cut and we cut and we cut and we cut. And you want to get it vaguely evenish to start out with, and then you're going to cut it down further, because the more you cut it down and the more dense it is, the better it looks. So I've got mine mostly even. See, we're better than we were. We're no longer a little wild thing. And you just keep cutting. And it takes a while to cut it down to where it needs to be. It's going to take a few minutes. And eventually, you keep cutting and cutting and cutting until it gets nice and dense and even, and the little fibers separate and everything, and you end up with something like this. This looks a lot better than this. And you've still got your long 2 tails to sew it into whatever you need it to. But anyway, that is how you make a pom-pom without the use of props. Have a good day.